When the day's been long and the road feels rough and the world outside's had quite enough, there's a lantern glow at the end of the square.
Oh, I hear it on
a
your,
friendly old place
screen.
called the Crown and the Bear.
I'm gonna share this out to
Boots on the floor and laughter in the air. Stories get bigger with every chair. From travelers passing to folks from the farm.
Okay.
Everybody's welcome by the fire so warm. Even the Asians. Come on down to the Crown and the Bear. Pull up a stool, we've got time to spare. Raise a glass with the friends you'll meet there at the old wooden bar of the Crown and the Bear. We accept Italians as well. The fiddles might play and the ale runs free. Old Tom's telling tales from '83.
Send it to the internet.
The barkeep smiles like you've always been there. That's life every night at the Crown and the Bear. Just don't make it gay, my friend. Come on down to the Crown and the Bear. Pull up a stool, we've got time to spare. Raise a glass with the friends you'll meet there at the old wooden bar of the Crown and the Bear. Where $20 is $20. So if the rain falls down on your day and the miles feel heavy along the way, there's
You might be able to hear us
a light in
over the
window
song, by the
and
way.
folks who
Yeah.
care, waiting for you at the Crown and the Bear. I guess I'll have a coat. Come on down to the Crown and the Bear, where the fire's warm and the hearts are fair. You might walk in alone, but you'll never stay that way at the Crown and the Bear. Yeah, the Crown and the Bear.
Here. Alrighty.
I was gonna say we probably should be muting ourselves while that plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't wanna interrupt the festivities and fun of that incredible intro.
Yeah, next time we play it through, when we get a few people in here, we'll switch that on over.
I seriously like when you said last night like you were crafting your masterpiece, I was like, okay. I'm always excited to see
I'm
what
always
these
crafting
are.
my masterpiece, by the way. I'm like, dude, I just did this new thing, dude. So I don't expect people to expect much, but this was really
That one I was like, oh my gosh. Like I always enjoy when you post stuff, but that one I was like, dude, this is like a major stepping up of the game. This is like this is like going from okay, that was really, really cool to oh my gosh.
oh my god.
This is
And
like
for a good
going
win.
from rookie Jordan to championship year.
Oh, dude, this was the 80s. The 80s going into the 90s hardcore.
It
We
really
got
was.
the Emperor Goodwin and the whitest of bears. What would the pumpkin be? The pumpkinest of the
pumpest of kins? That sounds horrible.
the jacking up. No.
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 The jackinest of lantern.
I was trying to avoid it. But
Well, that's I mean, most people if they're around the jackinest of lanterns, they will try to avoid it.
yeah. You'd be surprised how cold they are on the inside.
Cold and seedy.
Yeah.
That's just I'm not making it better. I'm not making it better.
I'm so glad Vex got to see the intro.
Yeah, Vex. That intro. When you posted in our chat, you were like, Whitey, what is this? I was like, I didn't know what it was either. I was like, I have no idea. We'll see. And then I saw the whole thing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
I already had that clip lined up, and I was going through that song, and I was like, even the Asians, and I was like, the Vex clip. This is what happens when people say like, post the first thing on in your timeline, your pictures and all that. I was like, I'm gonna go through all of my pictures that I've used for every stream and mesh these up into something terrible. And it worked
Even
out
the
though.
Asians is gonna be that's gonna be in my head for a long time.
uh, uh,
Maybe forever, because anytime I like, because this will be something I show my siblings, and I'll be like, "See, anytime I see you all, even the Asians." It's like
I know. I thought of that too.
it just
As a wife was asking last night, and she's like, "Let's see, I know our buddy is, from Sri Lanka, and then so and so is from so and so, blah 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 is from Canada, but like what nationalities, kind of make up Gord's, background." I'm like, I don't know. They've been through a lot of fields, and then there's some there's some Asian in there too, but not. He's got some Asian in there. Uh, I know. I was starting up a new channel with an old channel, good one, and I was like, well, I'll just take a picture of myself, and I was like, "Now turn it anime." What you do? We turn it anime, and that's what happened. So I twinked up, I guess.
yeah,
Ward's family is from.
we haven't applied the DLSS 5. Haven't done that yet.
There.
Yeah, see everybody, current meme. We did the current meme. So we're hip or whatever.
We're so hip. I saw that yesterday. I saved something to send to you and Vex about it. But yeah, I think it got lost in the shuffle there. I think it was from not Sticks, but Razor Fist. But it applied. It was actually good. So I was like, I gotta send that to y'all. All right. Now, sent you a doc. And did you type anything on there? Because I'm trying to see if it shared anything back.
Wait, did I type anything on what? Sorry.
Okay, sent you a doc of the subjects and all that. Did you type anything into that, or did you just see it?
Sent me a doc. I don't even know what that means.
Okay, I shared you
I have no idea
Google. I shared you a Google Doc, and it had
Oh,
all
okay,
the,
okay. Yes.
okay, Popeye.
The Google Doc.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Google Doc.
You're speaking this foreign language.
Apparently. Well, it didn't update it on my end, so whatever you bring up today, what subjects you want to hit, I don't know yet. So
Okay, I see it. I see your doc.
I see your doc.
I see your doc.
Yeah, my doc is
Why
so
he's
white.
sharing his doc with me?
I know it's doc.
Sent me a doc pic.
I couldn't put it in black mode, so it's a kind of a short doc. Let's see. Take a white bear and make it a gay. put a white bear in it and make it gay. Let's see. I'm holding out for it in black and white. Yeah.
I like. I mean, there's just this. I like that there's just this random portion of it that's highlighted in black. Mr. Balrog short. It's like, okay.
Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna. I called my wife. I was like, "Hey, babe, how do you highlight on this thing?" I was like, "Well, never mind. I found it. All right."
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but the video was super fun to work on, and I was gonna game last night because my wife had to go work on some other stuff after dinner. I was like, well, if you're gonna do that, then I might game. And then I was like, wait, I need to get us an intro going, so. Oh, but anyway, I think it might be timely to play that intro one more time, and then we'll get started, okay? And I'll mute us this time. Okay?
We're gonna actually mute ourselves this time.
Yeah,
That way you
okay.
all can get the intro in its full glory.
Well, I'll at least mute myself. You're running over Discord, so if you fart too loud, it will pick you up, okay?
When the day's been long and the road feels rough and the world outside's had quite Jokes on the floor and laughter in the air. Stories get bigger with every chair. From travelers passing to folks from the farm. Everybody's welcome by the fire so warm. Even the Asians. Come on down to the Crown and the Bear. Pull up a stool, we've got time to spare. Raise a glass with the friends you'll meet there at the old wooden bar of the Crown and the Bear. We accept Italians as well. The fiddles might play and the ale runs free. Old Tom's telling tales from '83. The barkeep smiles like you've always been there. That's life every night at the Crown and the Bear. Just don't make it gay, my friend. Come on down to the Crown and the Bear. Pull up a stool, we've got time to spare. Raise a glass with the friends you'll meet there at the old wooden bar of the Crown and the Bear. Where $20 is $20. So if the rain falls down on your day and the miles feel heavy along the way, there's a light in the window and folks who care waiting for you at the Crown and the Bear.
I guess I'll have a coat.
Come on down to the Crown and the Bear, where the fire's warm and the hearts are fair. You might walk in alone, but you'll never stay that way at the Crown and the Bear. Yeah, the Crown and the Bear.
Beautiful. All right, Gord, I think you're still muted.
Yeah, I was listening
There we go.
to the actual
You're
stream
still
version, but I knew obviously on our side it would end a little bit sooner, but
yeah.
I just wanted to get those last couple of seconds in. It's so good.
I put the Steve Harvey beside a thank you, Mrs. C. I put the Steve Harvey with hamburger face into one meme thing, into one thing, and I was like, his head will turn into a hamburger, and that's what we got.
And we got, I mean, I was telling to everyone in the chat, so I was telling Whitey last night, I was like, we could literally do a stream just breaking down the intro and all the various references, because like a lot of it's things from like MMM, a lot of it's just like personal references and stuff, and obviously there's just some great memeage in there, but it's like we could literally do a whole show just on the intro, and it would be great.
Absolute cinema.
Please clap.
We could EFAP our own intro.
It's funny though. It's like, I'm still paying for the Twitters. So I figured, I'm like, well, I'm going to get the most out of this until it finally told me, like, you're going to have to stop. So it put me on a 24-hour cooldown. So, in like 15 hours, I'm going to be freaking it up, baby.
It's true good when they never stop moving. So if the icons are any indicator, we're just talking over each other the whole time.
Mm-hmm. I need to have us all
like we might
at one
maybe
time.
one day we'll move this over to StreamYard and it'll look a little bit more like a normal like a normal podcast, but
yeah.
Normal
We do need it to, I would like it if I could show like every time you're talking, it has like the glowing up around your face, around your avatar. But till then, like, but you know what? You want to
it's like Chinese cooking, it's a walk in progress.
I see what you did there. Okay. Let's see. Let's while you start kind of bringing up anything, we can calm the avatars down here a little bit. There we go. Oh, you see, you get to see my skills in real time.
Oh my goodness.
I am Fancy White the Bear. Let's see. What are we gonna put for me though? Who am I? Got everybody else's freaking avatars on here. But I don't have my damn own.
All these various Shreks.
Dude, oh, I forgot I'm sharing my screen with you. Did you just see how many tricks I have?
I'm curious if everybody saw. Okay, I don't know if everybody saw, but I see this whole folder. It's great.
Okay, let's see. Well,
No, don't worry. If you all don't see it out there, there's nothing too compromising. I assure you.
yeah. Okay. Hey, well, there's me doing Titanic. Okay. Here. We'll do this one for now.
Blue Collar, you said you were finishing your new intro. You need to go back a couple of minutes and watch the intro to this podcast because it's literally the greatest thing of all time.
And you'll finish
And
again.
like, I'll be honest, after you're done watching it, you might not make the rest of your intro because it won't matter.
Bless
There,
it.
there are no more intros after this intro.
Calm
It
your
is the
face,
only
boys.
It is the only intro. So, yeah, go back about 7-8 minutes.
Uh,
It is the intro to end all intros.
thank you. Yes, it is the Patrick the Saint of Patrick Day. So people have an
That's
excuse
true.
to
It
be
is
like,
St. Patrick's
yeah,
Day.
every person that looks like me is like, I got Irish in my family. I'm just a
I'm
fan.
tired of these mother flipping snakes. This mother flipping island. St. Patrick.
See, calm your face, boys. We are calm. Our faces are calmer now. I promise.
We've opted
Uh,
for stoicism.
yes. Let's see. And what is showing his Shrek to go again? Yeah. I've already sent him my doc, so he's
Mhm.
he's been exposed.
The
Now
big white
focus
dog.
our efforts on innovating outros. Yes. Well, yeah, we could
By the
always
way,
do
everyone,
that.
make sure y'all like the stream.
Oh
Share
yeah.
the stream. Do all that gay stuff that everyone else asks you to do when you're watching a podcast.
Yeah.
That way, like the whole world knows. Like we're trying to get the channel to 1 million subscribers by next month.
Yeah.
So,
It's
you know,
kind of a big deal.
we're only like, I don't know, what, like 40 away? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more.
Doc, y'all docking, we're Doc Browning. Yes. All right. So, Batman Dinosaur guy. Yeah. And then we have the Velocipaster moment. Aged up Velocipaster. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to put the intro just as a regular video on the channel so that way, it's like, oh,
Very true.
you posted another video. Oh my god.
Goodwin recommended we added some cocaine, which I was like, that's not the worst idea. You know, have someone at a table, maybe Tony Montana or Kermit the Frog or Elmo or whatever.
But at the
doing a line.
beginning, when the Whitey character is cleaning the glass, there could be something on the table. He could just,
Yeah, just have Elmo off to the side, just bashing his face into the whole line of it, and just.
beautiful.
That's a meme.
times. That's a meme. We like memes.
It's a meme.
No, Batman. Yeah, I was like I said, I went through every single picture I've used on MMM and other shows and all that, and I was like, oh wait, there's the classic, very serious looking cannoli picture.
Someday we could do like a special episode where we just where we just do the intro is all the Hunt for Red October casting choices we made.
Yes. Holy crap. Yeah, we got to go back. We got to go back, Doc.
We have to go back.
Let's see. Next month's goals. Yes. Senor Ransom, nice to see you, sir. How do you do? I haven't seen you in a while. It's been a while. Was Batman holding a cannoli? Cannoli is holding a Batman.
It's kind of the great thing about this intro and Whitey's AI abilities, I suppose, is he's made it clear he'll be able to make little alterations here and there. So it'll be like one of those like sitcom intros that has like little variations here and there.
Yeah, it'd be like,
whenever it strikes his fancy.
It'd be like your Saturday Night Live. You have, cast that comes up and then it starts changing over time and all that. And New
Mhm.
faces, new people, new things. Do new things. It'd be great. Be the greatest intro ever.
I mean, it already is.
Oh, thank you. Thank
I
you.
think it already is, but it's just like,
I was just glad everybody was awake to hear this beautiful stuff. I was like, oh my
Mhm.
goodness, I hope nobody's dead right now. Only person that was dead was Vex, so I think we res erected her.
oh my goodness.
Hmm. So what's on the docket today, Gordonson?
I mean, according to the big white doc, uh, I guess we're talking like health stuff.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, it is, and it isn't. Let me pull up my big white doc and all that. We have all these subjects to talk about and stuff like that, but usually we can usually if chat wants to give us one word, we can usually take that one word and split it off into 14,000 subjects, and I can tell 20,000
this is
stories
true.
about based off of words. So if you have a noun, that you would like
Or
me
slur.
to yeah or slur to yeah to for me to go off of and us to make a whole situation of this, don't worry, just throw it into chat because usually on here, like I was saying at the last episode, which is a I need to change the title of typical white dog line to everyone.
Mm.
um let's see, is that we do talk about health, but we spent the entire almost the entire last episode, we brought up one thing about faith uh and yeah, we ended up just talking about faith the whole time most of the time. So
Yeah, that ended up being like the
uh
whole stream.
so rutabaga, there we go. Okay, rutabaga. So
Is that female judge that died a few years ago?
yeah, rutabaga, rutagator.
Rutabaga Ginsborough or something?
Yeah, Ginsborough menthol. Mm. Can only Batman imagining a dense forest in the Northwest Territories, a forest called Catton, where the Sasquatch people need to fight crime. Need a crime fighter. Oh, sorry. There we go. Yeah. So rutabaga, where I'm gonna go with that. So, when I was a kid, um, my brother had seen something. Uh, I guess it was a cartoon. Maybe it was one of those little puppet shows. Those that were big at the time, like Elvira's Castle or something like that. And he kept on saying rutabaga, rutabaga, rutabaga. And there was a certain scene later on in a movie. I don't know if you've seen this movie, Gord. Total Recall. It's a Schwarzenegger movie.
I've seen that movie. At least I think I did.
And for some
I
reason in
might have
my
dreamed it.
mind, yeah, you might have dreamed it.
I might have dreamed it.
In my mind, whenever he's wearing the woman robot face disguise and all that,
Mhm.
in my memory, it just goes back to it wasn't 2 weeks where he glitches out and says 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and I for some
2
reason I thought
weeks!
he said rutabaga,
What?
and every time that they bring up that word, I was like, I just automatically thought of Total Recall. So rutabaga for me equals Total Recall. What about you, Gord?
I'll be honest, rutabaga is one of those words that I'm familiar with the word, but if I didn't look it up, just now, I wouldn't know exactly what it was. Now I look at it, I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's a root vegetable or something." And it looks really ugly, and
Okay.
it's so ugly, there's no veggie tail rutabaga. Should tell you something.
Okay.
It's just
Uh,
I don't know how they taste. I hear they're sweet. They kinda look like a turnip or something like that, but, that is the extent of my knowledge on the rutabaga.
wait, what
That and,
was
its phonetic similarity to Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
okay at the beginning of that movie?
Total Recall?
That movie, Scarface.
Oh, Scarface, yeah.
Okay, who was the first person that they kill? Robanga. So now it could be rutabaga.
I have no freaking idea. It's like
Because
it's all these weird like Cuban Miami
yeah,
names.
yeah,
I don't freaking know. I know Tony
Robega.
Montana.
They
Tony
keep on
Montana's the
saying,
only full name I know.
yeah,
And then
they keep on saying it. You know, they're chasing him down. They're gonna go get him and all that. But yeah, I've never
they
used
killed Rutabaga.
rutabaga. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and it looks like it probably tastes good with salt, I guess. You know,
Oh,
turnips. They kind of looks like a turnip. Okay.
are there
Okay.
any other like famous Rutabagas? I don't think
Johnny Rutabaga from the Cowboys. Duh. Dumbass. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I might have. I've already had I woke up, got myself rutabaga, and I got plenty of coffee in me now, so
I can't believe we're actually having a Rutabaga segment for real though. We literally will be able to carve out a chapter of this podcast with
hmm yeah,
Rutabagas.
this section where somebody goes through and like does all the time time sequencing on there and says like they talk about rutabagas.
Don't ever underestimate our ability to just spout off nonsense.
Yeah, so all right, you guys, you gotta come up with a better noun than rutabaga.
Mm-hmm. Or at least a better
That's-
root vegetable.
yeah, let's see. Parsnips aren't carrots. They get offended like Asians when you get it wrong. Speaking of Asians,
Even the Asians.
yeah, I haven't heard of. I haven't checked chat, so I haven't checked on Vex yet. Oh, she's not even in chat either.
You
Woman.
might just be listening. She
Yeah.
saw the intro.
Yeah, that's all that
and
matters. That's all that
that
matters. If she lowers the watch time, the average watch time duration, I don't care as long as she saw the intro and the representation. Prostate. So
Prostate, that's
gabagool.
one of the that's Tristan and Andrew's brother.
Yeah, that's
I've heard of prostate.
I had a
That's
prostate.
the
Okay,
that's the Protestant Tate brother.
let's see. Prostate, bro. Okay. Yeah, so prostate. Keeping what's good for prostate health, Gord?
Rutabagas?
Rutabagas? Let's
No,
let's see what the Google says. What good
yeah.
for your prostate?
I
Typing
think the
just
prostate is just I think it's totally made up. It's all a conspiracy by big prostate so doctors can put their hands where they shouldn't. That's my opinion. That's my opinion on it.
Wait,
It's
wait,
made up.
what are the things that Jay Goodwin's probably had shoved up his dick before they help him? What are those? Jay, what's the thing that you had during surgery?
You asked for things multiple. I was like, what, more than one. Oh
Well,
no.
that who knows how many times he's had to have that surgery. Oh,
Oh my
catheter,
gosh.
catheter. That's right, catheter. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's made up. It's made up. It's just like the clip. So, all right. So, yeah. Anyway, prostate. Yeah. Big catheter is the one. Is the one I think making up the lies about the prostate.
I actually have a story about prostate. So I was watching Total Recall.
Okay. Let's open this book up,
Oh,
baby.
hey.
No, prostates are very unfortunately it's apparently a thing that gets cancer and stuff like that. The
Mhm.
very first job that I had, and then later on ended up with the same job. The place was opened by a man who eventually unfortunately got prostate cancer, but usually it's one of the most treatable cancers. However, he had a doctor who had told him like, hey, you went through 8 years of treatment, and you are finally free of that. And all was well. It seemed like all was well. And then he started having pains. It's like, yeah, it hurts when I piss. And the doc was like, you're just kind of being paranoid. He's like, well, I feel kind of achy. He's like, no, you're probably just being paranoid. Like you seriously have PTSD from cancer. It's understandable. And then he went to him one more time. And he's like, if you really want me to run you through this battery of tests, I'll run you through it. And he kind of like almost in a threatening way. And so they
Wow.
ran him through the test, and turned out the cancer had already went back from his prostate to his entire body. And he was like, I am so sorry. So when he passed away, he wrote his wife, my aunt, a letter, basically apologizing for not believing you. But that was one of those unfortunate
Dang.
situations. So
Dang.
definitely, yeah, that's how crazy that can get. So it's just like breast cancer, it's one of the most manageable, and treatable. Should be, I guess you can say, call it quotable, like curable.
Mm,
It's hard to say that because it can come back so easily, but
yeah.
it's one of the most easily treated cancers, except for if you do let it go, it gets really bad. So, check your prostate, check it often. Kind
Imagine
of,
if like that movie *Malignant*, like if that had been the tumor, it'd been like a prostate cancer, like murderer monster thing. That'd have been genuinely terrifying.
what movie is this?
You never heard of *Malignant*? Oh, dude, *Malignant* is one of the funniest horror movies of probably I think it came out. Shoot, what year was *Malignant*? It's so freaking funny. It's not the thing. It's not really trying to be funny. It came out in 2021.
Okay.
I think it's 2021. And, it's basically this chick has at the beginning of the movie, she's having this they call it malignant, so that suggests it's a tumor, but it's more like a twin,
Oh,
and, like, they cut it off, but I guess they left part of it on her head, so, like, it starts taking her over, and literally
my
she's, like, killing
God.
people while, like, walking and doing everything backwards. It's so freaking funny. I I highly recommend watching it. It's hilarious. There are so many little moments spattered throughout where you're just like, "Come on, you can't be serious. You can't be serious with this thing."
Wow. Okay. S
Like, the monster literally, like, takes this, I guess it's like a hospital award and like, turns it into a knife, and the award says, like, "excellence" on it. So it's literally a weapon that says "excellence" on it.
that's that's
It's
great,
so
dude.
funny. Oh my gosh, *Malignant's* so good.
See, that's how we turn conversations like this around. And you
In
just
short, eat your rutabagas,
mhm.
and
Check your
that'll cure
prostate,
your
check it
check your
often.
prostate, eat your rutabagas, and, you'll be alright. You'll be alright.
Let's see.
Watch *Malignant* because it's really funny.
Watch Malignant. This has been your Gord King advisor.
This has been Off the White Dock.
Off the white dog. Let's see. Let's see.
Speaking of prostates, it's like, but maybe we should, check our white dogs.
Let's see. Canoli said that had caught it very early, which is
Oh,
awesome.
wow.
Very awesome. And let's see. Tell me straight, Doc. Bush McFadden says your prostate is the signs of a tangerine.
Boys of a tangerine.
The What's Senior Goodwin say? Gord, you want to read that out, please?
They told my dad he just had pleurisy until someone decided to do an X-ray and discover the metastasized bone cancer
Mm,
everywhere. Oopsies. Yeah, wow. Then he
yeah.
says, "Malignant is just the scene from Army of Darkness, but stretched out to movie length." Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pull your prostates with salt and check your rutabagas. Okay, so speaking of what you brought up, uh, there's a thing called fetus in fetu, which is basically a parasitic twin. So,
Mm.
whilst my father was away overseas, he got a call and they were like, "Hey, you probably need to come here. Your wife is potentially going to die because this is a weird surgery." And he's like, "Okay." So He left the Asians and came back to America through helicopter and a really shoddy ass plane, and got here. And apparently, Mia Madre, my mother, had a parasitic twin inside of her from birth because she was a twin, and apparently they were going to have triplets, but
Hmm.
the triplet was inside of her. So um, she was 17 at the time. They got married at when she was 16 and he was 18.
Oh wow.
And so anyway, she had her surgery. He had to sign off on it. And they over at a college right now, you can still go see it. It's basically this thing of tissue with some teeth.
Sheesh.
So if you ever want to come visit my mom's parasitic twin, uh, UT
Does it
has
have a
it.
name? Does it have a name?
Jeff.
Yes, my name's Jeff.
His name's Jeff.
That would be great if there's like a little button on his sweat that does that.
This is what he would have sounded like. We do suppose. Uh, yeah,
Oh
black
my gosh.
eyes, dead eyes.
But that's it's kind of morbid, I guess, but it's like, all right, I guess. It's like, here's my parasitic twin. It's a little lump of flesh with teeth. It's like, that's the most awful thing I've ever seen. Thank you very much.
uh, so with that mental vision out of the way, what about this Shad dude?
Oh yeah, yeah, Shad and all of his he's going hard into the Mormon thing. I guess I don't know, maybe the weapon stuff's not working out anymore, but he's been talking a lot. I mean, granted, look, if you want to talk about your beliefs and everything, there's,
Hmm.
tends to be nothing more fundamental to a person, I suppose, but
Right.
there's yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a person who strongly disagrees with him and disagrees with Mormonism. I mean, I and it's what's I guess what's strange to me is, he lumps it in with, Christianity. I guess that's kind of like the basis of some of where this is coming from is because there's a lot of people who don't consider Mormonism Christianity. I don't consider it Christianity.
No.
I
No.
find it odd that he even wants that someone like him would even want to lump it in with Christianity, especially based on some of the stuff he has said recently. I mean, because I mean, he stated pretty clearly, I know today, and it's like, yeah, the Trinity is nonsense, from that perspective and everything. I'm like, okay, well then why would you even want to call yourself a Christian then? Because vast, vast, vast majority of Christianity, you know, we believe in the Holy Trinity.
Hmm.
So you're kind of excluding yourself from the rest of Christianity right there. So kind of by your own admission, your belief system is very distinct. So I don't even know, like this. I mean, Muslims certainly don't consider themselves Christian, even though they are like, we have some similarities in what we believe and whatnot, and we hash things out back and forth. But they certainly, at the very least, will admit the distinction between the belief systems. I'm like,
Right.
why do
They
you
can at
want
least
to
do
lump
that.
yourself into Christianity if you don't even believe in the Trinity? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know why he can't just call himself a member of some type of advantageous cult that that has morphed. Like everything kind of changes over time. A lot of things morph just due to the where you live and whatnot. But um, and with uh Christianity in the United States, we've had a lot of like developments, mainly because I think a lot more people have been made clear what the book is saying, uh, and had even more opportunities to learn it. To have it thoroughly explained, broken down, and now with the age of YouTube and googling everything and all that, and going to different websites that dedicate time to showing you the differences in Bibles and translations and stuff like that. It's a very educated time, but somewhere along the line, there was Mormonism. And I mean, have we not all seen the Mormon cartoon?
Or which one are you referring to? Because
Uh,
you bring that up because I actually just watched like a breakdown of a Mormon cartoon this weekend. And I
Okay,
was like,
well, at
wow,
some
this is
point,
pretty
it
wild.
explains how, how apparently the blacks are, that color because of
Mhm.
sin. And it was like
Mhm.
a 80s kind of cartoon. It looked like Hanna
Yeah, I think
Barbera.
this is the one. I think like
Okay.
this. I might, and the thing is, I might have seen that one
I
before.
think we've
I
we've
didn't
both seen it
remember it.
earlier.
Yeah, I didn't
I didn't
remember it
think it was
too terribly
real.
well,
I didn't
but
think it was freaking real.
yeah, I saw a breakdown. I think it was Jay Dyer. I think he was breaking it down. I was like, this is wild. Like, I mean, granted, I knew most of this stuff about their beliefs and everything, but the fact that like it being in this cartoon for granted, it's not a cartoon from Mormons. It's a Protestant breaking down their beliefs and everything. And I was just like, it's like some of this stuff. I was like, why do you want to consider yourselves Christian? Is it like I don't understand even the desire to be lumped in there because it's like you clearly see yourselves as very different from us. I mean, shoot, I think most Christians even I mean, I would say especially Orthodox and Catholic, and
Hmm.
to a great extent, I would say Protestants also very much believe, believe in the church, being something that the gates of hell will not prevail against. And I'm like, well, if you're a Mormon, you kind of have to believe that the gates of hell, prevailed against it for about 1800 years.
And
So
the responses to it are just ridiculous. Dude starts like, I guess, kind of weirdly cherry picking and just throwing in anything that slightly resembles.
yeah, it's very much out of yeah, a lot of out
Yeah,
of context scripture and everything. It's I
like
mean,
just
which
goes.
is it's yeah, it's like this doesn't really say what you're saying it says there. It's yeah, it's like you said, very much cherry picking and stuff. And again, I don't want to go into a whole discourse about Mormonism specifically. It's more just I'm like, why do you want so desperately to be considered a Christian when your belief system is that different? I mean, if you truly think that, there is that large a distinction and acknowledge there's that large a distinction,
Then
wouldn't
you
you
ain't
think
black.
that the rest of Christianity just is different from you? Wouldn't you just say, "No, Mormons are Mormons. We're not
Yeah,
we don't have to call ourselves Christian." I mean,
like keeps on saying
don't even
we do
I don't understand the
Christianity.
desire to be lumped in there.
Yeah, we do Christianity better than Christians. I'm like, I'm like, okay, like, I just don't get it. Like, at what point can you defend the origins of that?
Yeah. Well, at least certainly, like, I would be like, like, I don't know how you do from a genuine biblical perspective, but, yeah, it's more I'm more just looking at it from the perspective of it's like, why do you wanna be called a Christian? Because I mean, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna do it. But,
Hmm.
and the thing is the majority of mainstream Christianity probably never will, refer to Mormons as Christians and everything. So, I'm like, what is even the problem with being considered distinct if you believe what you say you believe? I don't even understand the desire to do so. I mean, if you the other thing is, like, I would love to see Chad attempt to debate some of this stuff with, someone like a Jay Dyer or something like that. Granted, I've
Hmm.
seen Jay Dyer debate a lot of Mormons, and it's really entertaining stuff. Uh, I'm like, it's easy, I guess, to do that kind of thing from, you know, you get all your stuff out there and you can get all your beliefs out there and you kind of do it unchallenged and everything, and then you're just kind of cherry picking verses to throw out there and say this fits my beliefs because of X or whatever. But I'm like, why
Hmm.
don't you take on some like seasoned debaters on the matter and actually have your faith challenged? Because and I say this as somebody who's kind of been recently allowing my faith to be challenged by people who, up to this point, I didn't, I never really had, had my faith challenged by say like Orthodox people or something like that. Of course, granted, I knew next to nothing about Orthodoxy. Uh, so I've kind of been listening a lot to them recently and listening to the Catholics kind of at the same time because a lot of discussions occur between those two. Uh, So it's been really interesting to kind of see their perspective on things and to see how, wow, there's a lot of stuff they're saying that I'm like, "Oh, actually quite a bit of that does make a lot of sense." So, that's been something I've been exploring a lot personally, but I'm like, if you wanna throw your beliefs out there and kind of get into the lion's den, so to speak, why don't you challenge somebody who can refute you really well? 'Cause,
Well, I
it seemed to me that it's like if you're really wanting to do something bold and, challenge people with what you're saying and everything. It's like, okay, challenge somebody who can debate you back, somebody who's seasoned and good at it.
yeah. and yeah, make a thing of it because the, I get it. Like, dude is wanting some attention, or else he wouldn't have. I don't. There has to be a reason why he suddenly decided, like, hey, this is going to be the hill that I die on. And
I mean, he's
of
been I
course,
mean, obviously, he's been Mormon as long as I've known of him, but I know that when there was that attack on that Mormon church,
more
this
man.
might have s yeah, this might
Oh,
have spurred it because there were a good number of people saying, "Look, it's tragic, it's sad what's happened there." Um, but there were a lot of, like, Mormons coming, it's like saying, "We us and Christians, we need to come together, blah, blah, in our faith and everything," and they're like, "Well, no, we're not gonna do that because as sad and tragic as this doesn't change the fact that Mormonism is not Christian," and
right.
he kind of went a lot into this, at that point, so it might have started there. I don't wanna speak for him because 'cause I'm not certain, but, that at least from what limited amount of time I spend, like, kinda looking at his stuff, that's where I spot where it seemed to have begun, but it could have been something that was bubbling over, well before that, I don't know, but, yeah, that's as far as I can see, it's like, I would trace it back to that.
Well, let's see. Well, okay, so I've started listening to the guy because, of course, because of some type of sword video, I think, and all that. He came up, I was like, "Is this a meme?" Oh no, this is a person who is, like, uh, you know, sounds like Australian or something. He's over here and he's got, a sword and some armor on, and yeah, he was talking. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool. He, fully explained that, and that's good to know. And then, of course, he got into more of the culture war, I guess, and all that. And for the most part, I kind of respected all that. It was pretty fine, and I only could put up the sound of Aussies so long. Um, but yeah, it's it's fine. It's cool. And then dude goes on to start doing the whole complaining about YouTube, like shadow banning his channel. And I understand that, we've all been there. You and I have both had channels that got into trouble, and so hey, that's cool, but you got to kind of just move on or do something else. And I
Yeah, I
just
mean, I feel yeah,
didn't.
adaptation's kind of, like, I think inherent to you. I mean, I guess unless you're just everything you're doing is working, but
Mhm.
I don't know anybody like that who literally every single thing they do works just right. I mean, granted, some have to adapt more than others. Some just kind of make little tweaks. I mean, but like Drinker's kind of been doing a lot of the same stuff for a while because his formula works. Mahler, EFAP, those guys. A lot of what they do, it's tweaked, but it's more or less the same format and everything. But there's plenty of huge creators. I mean, yeah, they adapt over time. They're like, okay, this works, this doesn't, and you know, yeah, that's just part of it. It's like you can do a lot of like weapon stuff and everything, but eventually it's like, okay, there's at a certain point, it's like you're gonna run out of scenes to do comparisons with, or you're gonna or, the amount, how you convey your information is going to be something that people look at, and you may have to accept at some point maybe what you got popular off of was sort of a passing fad. I don't know. I mean, I'm not somebody who ever watched a lot of his stuff and everything, but I know
Yeah,
like the
dude's a
couple
bit.
of times I watch it, I was just like, I was a little surprised he had as many subscribers as he did. I was like, I didn't know this many people were interested in this kind of thing.
I think he got
But
popular, like really popular there for a short bit because he was talking about some of the modern movies and getting in there with
right.
G, and that brought people over there to
He's in
kind of.
he is I mean, and part of the main reason why he got popular is he has a good personality for YouTube. I mean, he is a really entertaining person to listen to. I do like the guy. I know we've been kind of crapping on him and uh, his belief system and everything. So, but I do like the guy. I like listening to him. I
Hmm.
actually find his knowledge on like, war, medieval warfare stuff and, weapons, whatnot. I think that's interesting. I think it's really interesting to add into like movie conversations and stuff. Uh, I know like EFAP did like a whole like war arc as far as movies go, and whenever
Yeah,
he would come on and kind of add some context and information, I was like, yeah, this is all really cool. I like this stuff. So, I understand why he's popular.
yeah.
The level of popularity, I guess, surprised me a bit. But I was like, "Okay, that's fine. I'm glad there's that many people out there," but,
I
uh,
think what kind of
it
drove
was
me
one of those things
away,
where I was like, I don't know how long I would stick with this if I was watching it, because unless I was super, super into that kinda thing,
yeah.
but I don't know. I was like,
Uh,
okay."
we go through phases, but I think one thing that kind of got me was his almost like autistic defense of certain things, and maybe that's where he got some of his energy there from. But when it came to AI, art and stuff like that, and the whole fight about what is art, what is a man, but what is art, and going into like, no, this is definitely art, and I get it, I get it, but some people
Me,
almost like argue so much.
that was the far stranger hill to die on than the
Yeah,
Mormonism. Like, the Mormonism, it's like, I can understand because that's fundamental to who he is. The AI art thing, I was like, and I grew like, if you just like the basic topic of, is AI art a form of art? I'm like, I would say it is. It's just not a form of art I give a crap about.
yeah,
It's like, as far as I
low
can see
tier.
at this point, it's a low tier form of art.
Hmm.
It might be in certain cases, I guess more art than some of the, you know, tape a banana to a wall type of art we
I was
have
thinking of
out
that
there.
instantly. I instantly think of the taping taped banana.
Like, the intro to this podcast is way better art than a lot of modern art. I would just say I
But
say that with
still,
utter
yeah,
confidence, but,
yeah. But
you
this is
know,
not hand drawn shite. This isn't me
mhm,
actually going through and using tools that have AI behind them to help do something. This was total, absolute AI and collected images off the internet and an edited up song with themes that were written into Suno
yeah.
and to Grok and to Meta. So this is all it's all a smoke show, but it should not be applauded. It should be laughed at, pointed and laughed at, and it's funny. It's funny more because of the idea. Um,
If somebody had
but
taped a rutabaga to a wall, okay,
yeah, yeah.
then I'll give him the art. I'll
But
give him
in
the art.
chat, I had asked if the book that Shed had written was any good to Jay. I said, I'm not sure good is a word anyone should use, but it's revealing. So it sounds like
Ooh,
some Stephen King shit here.
mm.
Okay. Specialized. Okay. So,
And when your favorite creators, and I say this as somebody who just got a book from Niat, and I am looking forward to Niat's book, and
mhm.
it's a pretty big book from, I was like, "Wow, that's actually a pretty thick novel, that's pretty cool." But I would just say, "Look, if you like a creator and they make a book, just,
You can
go in
support them.
there with the understanding, it's like just because you like them doesn't necessarily mean they're an author. It may be good, it may be bad, it may be just like, "No, this is alright." But then again, that's true of a lot of authors that get lofted up as great to begin with. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like, I read, Razor Fist has written a few books,
Yeah.
I think it's called the one that's called The Long Moonlight. I've read a good bit of that. I actually do like what I've read of it so far. I was like, "Okay, this is actually pretty cool." It's a
Hmm.
neat little stylized kinda story. It's relatively short. So I do look forward to reading, the rest of that and everything, but I know there's a lot of people out there, they'll read somebody's stuff and they'll be like, this isn't so good. I like this creator, but, this is kinda crap." I know, like, heck, even I know, like, when Drinker put out his short film, there was a lot of
There
criticism
was a
for
lot of
that, and
criticism. Yeah.
yeah, and even he was like, "Yeah, okay, this was a little bit harder than I thought," and everything, and I was like, I think, uh and I know, like, Mahler, he's got a short film out there now that, should be seeing the light of day at some point relatively soon, I think, but, yeah, I think it's really cool when certain creators we really like do stuff like that, but and you kinda have to understand, it's like they're going into kind of a different field that they're used to, so it doesn't mean it's gonna be good.
Yeah. And it
So,
doesn't
we'll
mean just
see what
because
happens.
some people, like their thing is critiquing, it doesn't make their critiquing any less valid, just because they put their money where their dick is or whatever that saying is. But
Mhm.
it is a different skill set and it's a whole lot less money. There's a whole lot less trained people helping you on these projects and all that. So I think a lot of people could be a director. A lot of people could also write a story. It's just what kind of team do you have behind you, and really how much experience do you have with it, and are you really ready to put that out? But it doesn't make you any less of a good critic. Is all I'm
Yeah.
saying. I was like, I
Or in
from what
Chris
I
or in Chris Stuckman's case, any better.
right. But I saw like some snippets from during his video and everybody's critique about it, and I was just like, okay, I'm probably not gonna see it. I didn't want a movie from critic. I didn't. So nothing was calling my name. Nothing. I know that he writes books and stuff like that. I don't read his
Mhm.
books.
I mean, I would be interested in reading the books because if I'm not mistaken, he was an author before he did the
He was,
criticism
yeah,
stuff.
right.
So I would be interested in at least giving those a shot. As far as I mean, short films are always to me, you know, they're like it kind of takes something special for me to even want to watch a short film because I'm just like I generally don't care that much about short movies. I guess I used to like the Pixar ones that they did on that you would see at the beginning of a Pixar film and everything, but I didn't necessarily need them. I was like, some of those are kind of charming, I suppose, but
Hmm.
those short films, I'm just like, I don't freaking care. But there's a few here and there where I see what it's about, and I was like, okay, that actually could be something interesting. And I guess like if it's something really interesting and it turns out to be good, there's I guess the inherent hope that maybe they'll adapt this into something longer because that does happen quite often where you see a smaller concept developed into a larger one because the short film was so good.
Let's see. Good one says, I'm required to neither be a dog nor vegetarian. Identify dog shit. And that's very true. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't think that you have to, people are like, well, you can critique these movies all day, but, you know, um, I haven't seen you
Like,
make
I
one.
would say I am interested in Mahler's short film because of his
Well,
style
it's
of
smaller.
criticism.
Right.
Well, it's his style of criticism and his kind of dogmatic approach to like cause and effect and stuff. So like, there's part of me it's like, okay, I'm curious to see if the short film holds to that standard. I'm very curious to see if that happens. Plus, I know Lance had a hand in it. I think he directed it. Uh, I was like, okay, I'm actually interested in that one just because of who made it. But so we'll see how that turns out whenever it's available. And there's also just kind of a really funny irony to him doing an 18-minute short film. So his film is literally shorter than like any video he's ever done. Just about.
Right.
I think that's pretty funny.
Now, I did read that wrong. Absolutely. I was as a vegetarian instead of veterinarian. I was like, what does that have to do? I was like, vegetarian because they eat shit? What? Like what? I mean, is this shit considered a vegetable? I don't know where Jay's logic is on this, but oh, okay. By the way, the first Sherlock Holmes book, did you ever read
Which book?
that?
Sorry, which one?
The first Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle Sherlock Holmes
Oh yeah,
book.
I've read a ton of Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, so you were studying Scarlet about the Mormons.
Yes, yes.
That's all I need to know.
I love
That-
I, I
that-
love I love most of the like most. I think I've read because I know like the Barnes and Noble they had it in 2 volumes. I've read all of volume 1, a good portion of volume 2. Like Hound of the
Mhm.
Baskervilles, I've read that. All the pretty much all the short stuff. Just about. Uh, yeah, I've read a ton of Sherlock Holmes. It's really really good. Beats the crap out of Call of the Wild.
Yeah, is
But
that one's not getting you, is it?
I finished it already. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like I know it's considered like this masterpiece of Jack London's. I found it very drab. I think the ending's really good. I like the ending of Call of the Wild a lot, but yeah, overall, I was like, this is kind of dull.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm just like, it's well written. I mean, it is a well written novel, but it's I will never I will never read that again. I was like, this is really boring to me. I'm not really all that into it.
Now,
Uh,
wasn't it a book that we were like, made to read back in school?
I mean, I remember us reading White Fang.
Hmm.
I wasn't positive. I wasn't positive if I had read White Fang or Call of the Wild. Then when I started Call of the Wild, and I got about a chapter, and I was like, okay, this White Fang had to have been the one I read because it's not
Yeah.
this. And I like White Fang. I actually thought White Fang was pretty cool. But so that one I would like to reread because I haven't visited that since probably middle school. But yeah, Call of the Wild, I really did not get into it. Like I said, it's written in a way that I guess is impressive, but it's very, very dull to get into. Like, what's funny is, it's like, because the book I'd read before that was Animal Farm, and Animal Farm, all the animals are like highly like anthropomorphized. They have very human characteristics to them, and obviously the book is highly allegorical. Whereas Call of the Wild is very much it's as much of a genuine dog perspective as I guess a human's capable of writing. So there's not really there's no talking between the animals or anything like that. So it's really just almost all dog perspective. And I'm like, okay, it's not uninteresting in
It's
concept,
new.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Must have
just
been
the
very
whole
new at
book
the
is
time.
just struggle, 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 mush, mush, mush. It's like it's because it's a lot of it is them, him dragging a sled to get to California, I guess, during the gold rush or something. And I was just like, okay. And that's a lot of the book. And there are interesting aspects to it. Like, he has a rivalry with another dog, and he's trying to, I guess, become the leader that's going to have all the other dogs in line. So I'm like, okay, there's something interesting there, but because this is just dog on dog and there's nothing really anthropomorphized about him, it's hard for me to get into it as much as you probably want me to. And it's not a huge portion of the book. It's a decent chunk, but then there's all the rest of the book to go with it. So yeah, there's these massive lulls between the interesting bits. So yeah, overall I was like, I think this book's like a 4 or 5 out of 10, and I will never read it again. Like
More.
Animal Farm was far more entertaining. And I think after that I read and this is kind of a short book. I read Call of Cthulhu, which that was actually pretty cool. I liked Call of Cthulhu. That was my first Lovecraft novel that I've ever read, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Or it's a short story, but yeah, I was
Uh,
like, that's pretty cool.
for now, to me, it's just a Metallica song, but one day I'll read it. So, okay, I remember the movie.
You can listen to the audiobook probably in less than an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
Very short.
And some crazy shit happened.
And it's almost more of like kind of a detective story mixed with kind of a sea adventure.
Mhm.
But there's just this weird creepiness factor to it because they're like, oh, this, it's like you have this Cthulhu cult, and this guy's learning that holy crap, all these all this eldritch stuff is real and stuff. So it's like, yeah, that would mess you up pretty bad. So it's pretty cool. I liked it. But I mean, the funny thing is the book is like super racist. The book is like super racist.
That's what I'd
How-
heard that
how,
about
like,
Lovecraft.
how,
I've heard it.
skin people, mongrels and stuff like that. And I'm like, dang, HP. Well, you didn't hide that at all, dude.
So if Vex wrote a book, it would be.
I mean, Vex wouldn't call them mongrels, but yeah, it was like if Vex wrote it with with the language of that time.
I don't know why, but I used that word like so much when I was a little kid. And
Mongrel?
yeah.
I mean, mongrel is not an inherently racist word. It's just the
No,
fact
no,
that
it's
he
just
was saying this about different ethnicities.
I just wish that somebody had maybe like give me a little bit of context, like, hey, like apparently they say that about races. And I was just referring to like, like weird mixed dogs and all that, but I don't know. Anyway, so the movie The Road, I remember watching that with my dad one day, and I was like, this is depressing as shite. And
Very.
but it was post Lord of the Rings, and anything with Vigo in it, I was like, holy yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch this, history of violence. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that. Then I saw The Road, and I was like, wow. It said wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So but you were saying the book was even more hardcore.
Okay, so anyone in the chat doesn't know, so Wendigoon about 2 weeks ago put out his video on The Road. It's a little over 3 hours, and The Road is his favorite book. And I read The Road years ago, probably like 15 years ago. And if you've read The Road, I highly recommend watching Wendigoon's video. It's outstanding. For somebody who is a genuinely phenomenal content creator, I actually think this might be his best video, or at the very least in like the upper echelon of his stuff. Like there's a lot of passion behind it. You can tell that it is his favorite novel. So Cormac McCarthy is probably my favorite author, or certainly of the of the modern era. The Road is very grim and depressing as a read, but the book is not. It's like the way the book is designed. It is meant to be about hope in the grimmest of circumstances. Like the book is far more hopeful by its ending because you realize it's better to reread almost. Like the first read, you're just like, holy crap. I mean, it's just everything that's happening is just like the worst of the worst possible situation that you can imagine a human being, at least a human being in the United States being in, because it's very much an American apocalypse. So it's very much from the perspective of somebody who has lived, in this, kind of greatest civilization, so to speak, having all of that stripped away, knowing that you're probably not going to last much longer and that kind of stuff. So you really feel that in this novel,
Okay.
these people. And whereas the son, the boy that he's got with him, didn't grow up in that. He was literally born into this post-apocalyptic world. And yet he's kind of this vessel of hope that this father is trying to protect and everything. And yeah, it's very grim. There are some truly horrific things that happen in the book, or whether they're things that happen or things that they come across. There's one moment in particular that is especially harrowing that I will not spoil here for anybody who hasn't read it. It's I had to put the book down for that day after I read that because I was like, oh man, because they build up to it very well. And it's not like one of those things where it's just grim for the sake of grim. Like it's there's a lot of times you'll see really horrible things in a movie, but because of the context of the movie, it doesn't hit you necessarily all that hard.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's you'll see it and you'll be like, oh, that's pretty messed up. But like slasher movies have generally some of the grimmest, goriest kills imaginable, but they're not especially hard to watch because the context behind them doesn't really lend itself to that. Usually it's really, really stupid people or people who aren't particularly likable, who don't even really feel like people. They're just kind of meat sacks that are there for the killer to kill. So it doesn't hit you the way like something more realistic would. Whereas this moment in The Road, you get some build up to this moment that feels very, very real. So when the worst of it hits you, it's like he very much puts you into that circumstance where it's just like, yeah, this is like the most awful thing these people will ever see. And even just reading about it, it's like, okay, this is really freaking heavy. This is heavy stuff.
Well, I hope whoever narrates it on Audible is
Yeah.
a good narrator.
Yeah, like I mean, that is one of those books that if you can sit down and read it, I probably would do it that way. I mean, I do because Cormac McCarthy, it's like he is somebody that I think like his books lend themselves well audio wise in some respects, but he's also somebody I love just I love to just sit down and read his stuff because he has such a unique prose. And like the sentences are so poetic without feeling like without feeling like haughty or anything like that. It doesn't insist upon itself or anything, but there's genuine poetry to the way he writes, but it's highly immersive. I really, really love his style. I mean, it's hard sometimes to read because he doesn't bother with punctuation. You have to really be paying attention because he's not generally telling you who is speaking. You have to kind of grasp it through the context of what's being said. But yeah, the roads it's quite a book. It is quite a book. I don't know if I necessarily would consider it his best book. It's one of his easier to read because it's generally just like the dialogue and everything, it's focused on mostly just these two people.
Right.
There are some sections of the book where there are some other people they encounter. Obviously if you've seen the movie, there's the part with like Robert Duvall.
Mhm.
There's that character and everything, but one of the easier ones to read, like that and No Country for Old Men are probably the most consumable on a mainstream level, but yeah, it's excellent. It is excellent. It's one of his better books, but I would say Blood Meridian is probably his top novel. But that's a book. Good luck ever seeing that one adapted to the screen. That one is just There's
Just
so much depravity in
yeah.
Blood Meridian. Holy crap! There is so much depraved stuff in Blood Meridian. I don't know how you would ever begin to adapt to that. Like that. Like the only director I can think of who I think would be willing to do it correctly would probably be S. Craig Zoller, but I don't think a studio would ever allow it because it is so messed up. It is so messed up.
Oh, speaking of messed up, um, I'm still thinking about how your review of Primal is going to eventually take a turn.
How do you? Oh, you mean like when we get to season 3?
Yeah, yeah.
My brother texted me about an hour ago. He loves this new season, and I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
I'm like, oh, I have to bite my tongue. Like he literally texted me and said this is his favorite season, and I was just like, oh, the divide is so wide now. And because I was like, all I texted, I was like, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna apologize. I despise this season. I think it's idiotic beyond belief, and I will happily exit from my memory when we finish with it. I hate this season so much. It's garbage. Uh, so I guess it'll be fun when we get her. I mean, granted, my Primal video is not doing especially well, so I'm
Hmm.
not likely to do the next 5 episodes anytime soon.
Okay,
I'll probably just
okay.
move on to something else. But
Well, you could move on to season 3 though.
oh, I want to take a break from it. Actually, I might be doing a video on. I watched this movie last night called The Bluff,
Hmm.
and I mean it's very much one of those schlocky type movies. It's not schlocky in its production value, but it's conceptually it is. It's the type of movie like you'd see like Jay Longbone do a video of. Uh, I'm like, I'm looking into possibly doing some shorter videos so I can put stuff out a little quicker. Maybe like write like 3 to 4 page scripts for 10 to 15-minute vids that I can put out every couple of weeks. And this movie might be perfect for that because it is a really really stupid movie. Uh, that it sucks watching it, but it'll probably be pretty fun to talk about. So kind of started to take some notes on it and everything, but it's a terrible film. It's basically Amazon's attempt to rip off of like Pirates of the Caribbean along with a little bit of Rambo Last Blood.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's very girl bossy. Like
Oh, no, okay.
it's literally this chick who uh was like she was such a terror, and she's killing like all of these male pirates who are supposed like the movie emphasizes multiple times that these are the last remaining pirates, so the fact that they've survived this long makes them the best of the best, and she's taking out every single one of them by herself pretty much.
Wait, what was
uh
the book where the
so freaking stupid.
woman is working at a company, and ignored or whatever, made fun of, and then she ends up on an island with her boss? What were you telling me about that the other week? And she ends up
Vex
killing
might have. I haven't
everybody
seen.
over
It's called
time.
Sin. I think the movie you referred to is Send Help. I
Uh-oh.
haven't seen that
Well,
yet. I know.
well,
I think Vex has.
dang. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, there was apparently some movie, but anyway, what I was gonna bring up is so apparently I had talked to our buddy um Copa a good while back. And hold on, let me make sure my audio is still going. Headphones. What's good for oh, there we go. Sorry, I just had to these Bluetooth are sometimes super duper fun. So anyway, I talked to Copa a while back and I said, hey, I had like an extra hour, so I typed you out a whole thing, and I just want to see if this makes any sense to you. And it was basically how you could turn First Blood, Rambo First One, take the book version and make it into a short, like 6 episode mini series. There would be a way to do it. There could be a way to do it and to actually, make you feel for all these characters because, the author did definitely give all the main characters, their own little background, enough for you to
Mhm.
care about. And if you haven't read that book, please read the book. It's a really good book. And it's something where it's one of those times where you like the book and the movie are both great to me, so I
Mhm.
don't really try to compare them. Even when we did review of it, I was like, I want to talk about the book the whole time while we're doing the movie review, but at the same time I can't do that because to me it's just, you should just do them both and appreciate them both in a separate universe in a way. um but anyway, I had sent Copa this entire script of how exactly you could do it. Well, a month later, Copa had to stop being on MMM. And well, look
You
what's
never
happened.
got Oh,
Look what's happening now. Apparently, Stallone is going to be, I think, help producing, and yeah, and being in there working with, doing a whole series of basically, it's going to be what happened before for
yeah, I've
Rambo to
heard of
become
this.
Rambo.
Yeah, the Rambo prequel series, I've heard of this.
And all I'm saying is if Copa ends up rolling in a big Sicilian, I don't know. Yeah, if he ends up just out of nowhere rich, I have to have some words. 'Cause I think he's in on it. But anyway, I don't know. I'm kind of scared about them going back. Of course, and all that. And I'm pretty done with. I think everybody should be pretty much done with the whole Rambo movies and stuff like that. But if they want to do something and go back, I just don't know how cool that they can make it.
Without Stallone,
Uh,
yeah, that would be
yeah.
really tough. That would
I
be
mean,
really, really tough. I mean, granted, I mean, let's be real. There's not a I mean, you kinda make the argument that the only good Rambo is the first one. I do like I guess it's the 4th one. I do
mhm.
like that
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
but
Everybody does though.
that's more of like the good video game version of Rambo, I guess. Uh, I mean, it does have some aspects of his character that I think work reasonably
hmm
well, but, so it's a fun movie to watch. I don't really care about the first 2 Rambo sequels that much. I mean, they're fine, I guess, from what I recall. It's been a long time since I've seen them. I didn't like Last Blood that much at all. I liked and the thing that sucked is I liked the idea of it. I thought the idea behind Last Blood was actually decent,
hmm
but it basically just turned into R-rated Home Alone by the end. Uh, so I was like, this got kinda silly all of a sudden. Alright, sure. Uh, and plus, like, I guess, like, the other thing was, like, gosh, Last Blood is it's a pretty grim way for his character to go out. It's like, yeah, this young girl he was trying to go out and save. Sorry. It's like she died, and I was like, "Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
That's kinda messed up." I guess, I mean, great, he gets revenge on them, I suppose, but whew, that's pretty rough. But, yeah, I didn't enjoy Last Blood very much at all, so I was like, "Yeah,
I
let's
still refuse to
stop."
watch it. And yeah, like yeah, you don't spoil anything for me. I just highly refuse to watch to watch it because for me, uh John Rambo or whatever, the fourth one that came out, that to me that was the ending, and I can just
Yeah,
I
I
can
think
go on
that
from
should have
there.
stayed the ending. That kind of where he's just going down the road again. There's a little bit of ambiguity, but it's relatively hopeful, and I was like, "I can live with that being the ending. That's fine. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. That's where it should have ended."
So whenever the author, they were like, "Hey, we need you to write a book um, before the movie comes out, so that way it can help support the movie, and we would really like to support." And it's like, but Rambo died, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah," and so at the time, unfortunately, between that time when they first introduced the idea of it and then him going on eventually writing a book for the movie, his son had passed away,
Mm,
and he needed kind of something. He said, I really needed something to take my mind off of it, and they brought him the um the kind of like the trailer, the most simple trailer of it,
mm,
to give him an idea of of what it would be like, that you should write for, buddy. And it was, you know, a Betamax, tape of a helicopter with a Russian in it or whatever, flying towards John, flying towards Stallone, and Stallone, with a bow and arrow, makeshift rocket launcher or whatever, and and him all muscled up, flexed, and greased up, and then him screaming at the helicopter and shooting it, and a big explosion happens. And he said, "Well, that's kind of inspiring there." I guess, so his big explanation at the beginning of the book and when, in the author notes and all that, he's like, in this version, John didn't die. That's it.
Like, okay, then.
And
It's kind of like the ending. It's like the clue thing, but at the beginning of the book, it's like, well, that's one way it could have ended,
yeah.
but here's how it really ended.
So I've got to interact with the author a couple times on on Twitter, and I've not fanboyed out towards the dude, but the dude, I feel like I loved those books. All three of his all three of his books for the movies they're a little bit they're obviously a little bit different than the movies, a little bit more hardcore in some ways and all that, and they're well written, they're good, and they they explore a ton of cool deep subjects and all that the movie didn't get to touch on. So that's nice, and that kind of is what led to um the fourth one coming out. He said, "I don't need to write one for that one. It's already, basically as I see what he becomes in the future."
Mhm.
But no comment about the Last Blood. I haven't read him quote anything about that. But
It's not.
dude,
It's honestly not worth seeing. It's really
no,
not. I mean, it's just it's pure sequelitis. It's another bevy of examples of IPs that refuse to die. I mean, because they're treated like IPs, they're not treated like stories. That's one of the biggest problems in Hollywood and video gaming is because these things are not actually treated like stories. They're treated like properties that just are supposed to go on forever, and that way we don't have to create anything new or original
yeah,
or interesting. It's just we got to keep thing going. Like I look, I know we got a lot of friends who are big Scream fans. I hate the fact that Scream is still going on. Scream has one good movie as far as I'm concerned. I don't
yeah,
like the sequels. I haven't now granted, I haven't bothered to watch every single one of them, but I could not care any less than I already do about, "Oh, there's a 7th Scream movie." I'm like, "So freaking what? Go away." Had one good movie, then I saw Scream 2 and I was like, "Nah, I think we're done here."
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I hate that this stuff just refuses to end, and look, it's not like you can have movies that have sequels, I'm fine with that, you know, with some things, but the fact that every freaking popular movie out there just about has to get a sequel, it absolutely annoys the crap out of me because most of the time it is utterly unnecessary. It's just a way for them to, get money off of it and everything. Uh, hate it. I freaking hate it. I was like, can we just come up with something new and different? I don't buy the idea that we can't do something original. It's not even necessarily we have to do something original, like a concept you've never heard of. It's like, look, you can recycle a concept and just do it differently and do it really good. Or why don't you take a movie or story that wasn't done well and tweak that idea to make it work? To me, that's one thing I would love to see is like, why don't we take some of these concepts that didn't quite work, retool them to where they start to work better. Like
yeah.
that to me is like that would be like like a new cash cow for movies and games in and of itself. Because I'm like, there's a lot of good ideas out there that just weren't executed that well that
I
we could
like that.
do now.
I like that James Cameron's Rambo First Blood Part 2. And then he the choose your own adventure book. Yeah, exactly.
Ambo.
Let's see. And yeah, national tradition of infinite IPs. And yeah,
Rambo without the testosterone. That's Cameron's version.
I saw part one. As I think I saw part two. I just don't really remember it. And then I saw the one where it's basically saying, yeah, it's a movie, and we're a movie inside of the movie, and then somebody's reenacting the movie kind of thing. And I was just like, holy crap, dude! Like, I don't want any part of this. So, only thing I really liked, part one was new. That was new, for a lot of people.
Mhm.
It was the last movie that I was actually scared of. Like when I was watching, I think, what was I, like 11 at the time? And I watched it. I was like, and I'd already seen the movie, Faces of Death by then. Like part one and
Oh,
two from
wow.
the rental. But for some reason, that Scream movie, it gave me my first like jump scare. I was like, oh
Okay.
crap, and then like the first couple of or three Nightmare on Elm Streets, just because we had a customer when I was a kid who looked like Robert England, and I finally told him about a year ago. I was like, "Hey, look at this guy." He goes, "Oh, that does look like me." I was like, "Yeah, that's the guy who plays Freddy Krueger." He goes, "Oh, okay, that's why you're so scared of me back when you were a little kid." I was like, "Yep, yep." I had to work with him at two different. He was a customer at one of my jobs, and then I worked with him at one of my jobs. Like, holy crap, this dude's teaching me how to use their trash compactor, and he could kill me in my dreams. All right,
In my dream.
in my dreams. But yeah. So I just don't have the highest of hopes for like the whole point, the whole reason that people fell in love with the story of Rambo was because of the injustices that he had to go through
Mhm.
as a returning vet. The many in many forms his all of his friends, all of his platoon were dead, from in the war and after the war. So it was finally done, and it was just down to him.
It
And
spoke
then
to a
the
lot of
way that he
larger
was
issues.
treated, over time after the return. Uh, that was terrible, and it was exactly. Hold on, my
It spoke
headphones beeped
to,
again, so I can't really actually hear anything. So
oh, I wonder
we'll
if everybody
see
else
when
can
I
hear
actually
me
start
though.
hearing anything. Until then, Gord, talk about something cool and interesting.
I was gonna say, yeah, because like part of what makes for these larger issues of what veterans go through. Not even just the fact that, we have a government that doesn't, take care of them the way it probably should, but also, they go from being in these, high risk combat situations where they're operating
Million
this
dollar
really
machines.
expensive yeah, it's like they're operating this really expensive, really deadly equipment, and then they come home and they can't get, like, simple work. They're treated like they're monsters because, like, look, I get being anti-war and everything, but it's like, like, soldiers are people that you should not make the objects of your ire, on a general level. They're there it's like they're doing a job that most people are just not fit to do. It's really difficult, and that's really traumatic, that's really horrible, and, they're putting themselves through the ringer in numerous ways,
Hmm.
uh, for idealistic reasons, and look, you may or may not agree with some of those ideals, that's fine, but, with, being in a culture which talks so much about empathy. It's like it's like if you talk about a person that should have empathy extended to them, it's a freaking soldier because they go through some really really horrific stuff. Yeah, and that's part of what First Blood is touching a lot on, and that's part of what makes it so great. It's a very serious, earnest film. Uh, that like to this day, I would even say that First Blood does not get appreciated the way it should. It's oddly kind of just regarded as this action movie. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, First Blood should be looked at in like the upper echelon of cinema. It's honestly the kind of movie that should have been up for Best Picture. It was so good. It was a very serious film. It was not merely an action movie. It's like that movie had a lot to say. That's part of why I part of me hates the fact that its sequels are what they are because
It
most of
does
those
it.
sequels, they go completely against what the first movie's even about.
Yeah, it
They
lives into
literally
the
are just
meme.
act they're just yeah, it's like they literally took a very earnest, serious concept and just turned it into, like, Commando. Like,
Right.
that's not what that is. That's not what that's supposed to be.
It was almost like Stallone was like, well, there was a good idea here. but Arnold keeps on, he putting out more movies.
What if we made him into a full-blown killing machine? He's gonna take out
Yeah,
whole foreign armies, but I'm like, that's not really what this is supposed to be about.
yeah. I
So,
mean, um, so let's see. Uh, like Teasel in the movie. Part of his whole thing is him and his wife are going through divorce.
mhm,
Doesn't really go over that so much in the movie. Uh, and yeah, he has like this whole thing about like the last days of his of his marriage, kind of thing, and the papers have already been sent, and his wife is living elsewhere. It's a small town sheriff, who came back from the Korean War, and he's now facing a new kind of vet, and it's like he doesn't understand their war and their their brand of soldier and how they had it, and he is just full of a lot of spite
mhm,
and like I said during the review, the old man who brings the dogs and all that, that guy was basically his father figure, and that dude gets killed and then swallowed by the river, and he has to go through that whole little arc, and there's a whole basically a whole chapter of him crawling through brambles, thorns, and all this stuff just to get back to civilization after everybody that he was with is destroyed, killed, blown apart, right beside him, or stabbed, and yeah, he finally makes it out to the highway, and in this weird mental haze of dehydration and blood loss and
mhm,
a fever too, and basically all we got in the movie was he's a dickhead. you
yeah,
know uh they had his bronze star on the wall in the movie, and
mhm,
and showed his service, and he said I was in the war, we had troubles and blah blah blah, but when he was talking to like Richard Crenna, but it does not go into the depth of that character. And they did their best to make Rambo a lot more likable compared to the book,
mhm,
because in the book, he eventually gets to the point where he's just he's full heart throbbing dick hatred against against everything going on, and he's ready to just take him down. He's like, no, a lot more talking to himself in the book, obviously, and the thoughts, and but at the same time, if I had just seen the movie and never read the book, I would have been satisfied with the movie.
mhm.
And as far as the book goes, it will stay with me forever. It's a very well done book. So anyhow, I had to bring that up today because I'd seen that they were wanting to do a prequel, and it's just, how do you even do a prequel to it? He's, I get it that he had, a lot of flashbacks, but the book version, it was only so explained, but it didn't seem as super duper interesting hardcore action as you would think. He went through a lot of shit and then he had to escape. Before he got sent back to the states.
Mhm.
That's about as much as they say on there. The movie did a way better job on kind of showing the trauma that he felt from the war. Oddly enough, so that's another reason I can appreciate the movie. But anyway, it's just one of those things that got me. I'm like, please don't do this. Um,
Yeah, prequels are rarely, if ever, a good idea because they're almost certainly going to do something that it betrays canon in some way, shape, or form, and it's like, it's not a good idea. Just please
yeah,
don't. It's it's I mean, it's one thing if you already have, like, your backstory fleshed out and finished, and you've done all the legwork and stuff like that, but not generally how prequels are done. They're generally done well after the fact. You don't have any other ideas. You've probably lost touch with, your original story, so you're just it's almost kind of an inevitability that, "Oh, I have this really cool idea," and you're like, "Hmm, well, if I put this in there, that kind of goes against this. Oh well, I really like the idea, so nobody will mind. And it's like, you probably shouldn't have done that. uh, that's part of what makes when you watch like the Star Wars prequels, which have their own issues even apart from where they break canon, but there are aspects of those where you're just like, this doesn't make any sense at all, does it? It's like when it's like Obi-Wan is directly interacting with R2, and then you're like, but in A New Hope, he said, I don't seem to remember ever owning a droid. He's looking right at R2, and it's like, are we supposed to now take it as he's lying? Because I have a hard, especially because this goes on for 3 freaking movies, and I'm like, so he spent years around R2, and we're supposed to believe I don't remember him. I just
Y
don't remember him.
One of the sand people knocked him in the head at one time, and or he fell, or he hit a branch while he was helping chase some little princess around in the forest. Apparently, I don't know. Uh,
Yeah,
and
it's just there's stuff like that where it's just like you're asking me to believe things that I know aren't true, and it's really, really silly. Prequels are just they're so rarely a good idea to do. And yeah, Rambo is just one of those things where it's like, come on. What it's like we
mhm.
you don't need to do a prequel, you don't need to see all that stuff. Uh I think being kind of disconnected from what happened to him in his past is a good thing. I think that's a strength. I think allowing the audience to use their imagination and
Yes.
I think that's strong. I think that works.
Hmm.
Uh Now we're gonna have a generation of people who are like, "No, no, I saw what happened. So now I know exactly what they're talking about." And I'm like, "Well, what's it gonna look like compared to what you see in First Blood? You know, is that gonna mesh well? Probably not. It's probably gonna be one of those things where it's just like, oh, so he went through an action movie sequence. And you're like, oh, but now he's really traumatized. And you're like, well, why? I don't see any other action movie heroes that are that traumatized. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's just not gonna hit the same because it's probably not gonna be part of what makes First Blood work so well is the fact that what they're alluding to in his past feels realistic because he's alluding to a war that actually happened. You
Hmm.
have actual veterans who we've heard stories from where, their experience maps onto what you see in First Blood. It's like, I don't wanna see a Hollywoodized war that I have to map onto his experience that just looks like an action movie, and that's almost certainly what we're gonna get.
That'd be like seeing a prequel to The Patriot.
Yeah.
Uh, like, uh, I mean, how's it end? Him, cutting up a bunch of, old people, women, and children.
It's like, here's the part where we see him cut up a bunch of French people. It's like, "Oh, great. That's awesome," I suppose. At
Yeah.
the end, it's like, "Oh, yeah, that is how this ends, doesn't it? Whoops." And he goes back home, and it's like, all my slaves are free now, so you're just paid workers." "Oh, well, he's nice, great."
Oh, and yeah, Jay, that's exactly it. That's why the flashbacks worked in jail. Like the flashbacks, him, in the pits with, with the, the slop and the rats and stuff like that, and like those worked because it's not even in the movie. We don't have to have a 20-minute scene where showing him, bring being in a bar with his friend, and the kid opens up a shoebox and everybody explodes and organs go everywhere. And it's like,
Plus in First Blood, when you're being told about how dangerous this guy is, it's a really strong quality to not know exactly.
yes. Yes, exactly. That's the strength in it is that we're yeah whenever Troutman is explaining like he's eating crap that'll make you crap. He's like what? He's eating Taco Bell from from roadside machines. He's eating gas station sushi and live to tell the tale. he's he's a badass. Uh, let's see. Prequel to the Alamo, where Davy Crockett eats potatoes fried with fat. Yes. And I think, did I lose the gourd? I think I might have lost. Dun, dun, dun. Did I lose the gourd? Here, let me cut this off. Let's see if that works. Okay. Or did I lose myself along the way? What? Did Huh, the Hey, I guess it's just over. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I think it signed me out of Discord. Thanks, Discord. You work so well. Let's start that back up. All right. Oh well. I have to go cover brainstorm with blue collar. Have fun, junks. All right, Jay. Have a good one, dude. Wow, I think Discord is really down for me. See, this is a good time to not have the talking heads because there's no talking going on. Yeah, so I guess next time we'll probably be doing this through StreamYard. That might make a little bit more sense. Because it's not wanting to reconnect to Discord. I'll shut it off, try it one more time. If not, then I guess Discord can eat a bag of deek. Okay. I really don't understand that, but oh well, I might be coming back up here. I think Gord got shut off too. Okay. Yeah, well, Discord came back up for me. Yeah. All right, Boosh. You have a good one, bro. Well then. Guess we'll just probably call it a game. Okay. Well, anyways. All right. Let's get this finished out then. So, all right. Thank y'all so much for coming by. That was super duper lame to end it like that. But that's the power of Discord right there, baby. I think it disconnected us both. Okay. Anyways, y'all have a good one. Thank you for joining us today. And I think I will try to next time, just have us on our good old stream yards. Get that working because yeah, and Gordon pointed out that we did nothing on the list. We did talk about health a little bit. We talked about rhubarb and prostates. So yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, but anyways, thank y'all so much for joining us, and I'm gonna exit on a happy note here. So I'll see y'all next week. We thank you.
When the day's been long and the road feels rough and the world outside's had quite enough, there's a lantern glow at the end of the square, a friendly old place called the Crown and the Bear. Boots on the floor and laughter in the air, stories get bigger with every chair, from travelers passing to folks from the farm. Everybody's welcome by the fire so warm. Even the Asians. Come on down to the Crown and the Bear. Pull up a stool, we've got time to spare. Raise a glass with the friends you'll meet there at the old wooden bar of the Crown and the Bear. We accept Italians as well. The fiddles might play and the ale runs free. Old Tom's telling tales from '83. The barkeep smiles like you've always been there. That's life every night at the Crown and the Bear. Just don't make it gay, my friend. Come on down to the Crown and the Bear. Pull up a stool, we've got time to spare. Raise a glass with the friends you'll meet there at the old wooden bar of the Crown and the Bear, where $20 is $20. So if the rain falls down on your day and the miles feel heavy along the way, there's a light in the window and folks who care waiting for you at the Crown and the Bear.
I guess I'll have a coat